correct answers and people who like to participate. So one of my favorite speakers, she's just chomping at the bit. She's ready to get to us, and I'm ready to hear from her. Put your hands together for my friend, about to become yours, none other than Lori Kleiman.
Thank you, Ruben. You're here again to be loved. So anyway, he gave away my first secret, but why don't we talk about it for a quick minute? Anyone here from Chicago? Oh, way back there. I don't throw very well, but can you guys see well enough to see what this is? Have you been in my presentations before? Oh, well then you'll have to come up again. So what is it? Tell everyone, do you know? Oh, so you got it. So when Macy's took over Marshall Field's, for those of you who don't know, Marshall Field's was the staple of Chicago. The one thing they let us keep were Frango mints. So wherever I go, all right, we'll give it a try, I give out Frango mints for audience participation. So if you want to participate, this is a very short program. We'll try to get as much as we can in. Yesterday I hit a couple people and we ended up leaving the mints over there on the honor system. So we might do that again today. Anyway, my name is Lori Kleiman. Thank you for having me here. I have been an HR practitioner for over 30 years. Yay! I, like Ruth, started at 4, right? Wishful thinking. And I'd like to tell people a little bit about my story to get started so that you understand why I'm up here doing this. I started in my family business. We had a commercial photo lab. Anybody, we all heard about Kodak this week. Yeah, that was my family's company. And I was the HR director, the only HR department of one for about 9 years. I left there and started my own HR consulting company. I thought I would do it when I was raising my children, little cottage industry from home, and in 7 years, I built it up to have 6 employees working in my basement and about $1 million in sales. Why do I share that with my HR Department of One audiences? Because we only service businesses that didn't have full-time HR people. So how many of you are actually what I refer to as a HR department of a F? You've got lots of other things that you're doing as well. Oh, only a few of you. All right. Are the rest of you HR departments of one, or just want somewhere to sit before you leave for the airport? Okay, so only a couple of you. Well, that's okay. We'll still have a good time. And the information that I have today really does apply to anyone. When my business, my consulting business, became larger, I ended up selling it to Arthur J. Gallagher. People in here hopefully know Gallagher, Gallagher Benefit Services. Stayed on with them for another 7 years and ran their small consulting practice throughout the United States. And I left now to do this, because as Bruce said, this is what I love doing. So let's get into what it takes to be an HR department of one. And I think I'm hitting the red button. I don't have the magic bullet. So let me tell those of you who come to this session or have gone to Jennifer's session on HR Department of One, it's really about just getting it all done. So a couple of years ago when I spoke at SHRM for the first time, I did a survey of the HR Department of One audience. And what we found were that the really big issues were that people don't feel like they're aligned with the management team. They don't feel like they can stay on top of all these compliance updates and continually change around what's going on and make sure that they are doing what they need to be doing in HR. But the two main things that came out of the presentation were that there is not enough time in the day and that they're not really seen as a leader. They're so busy being stuck in administration that they're not having time to really strategically work with the organization. So the idea for the HR Department of One is that you've got to be aware and aligned with what the management group is doing. And that really is where you should focus your entire day. Where do you need to be to drive your business forward? Outsourcing, I think, is a critical component of HR departments of one. And what I hear when I talk to HR practitioners is that I'm afraid if I outsource too much of my job, they're not going to need me. The truth is, what you want to be outsourcing is the administrative nonsense. You don't outsource the counseling conversations with your managers about how to get top performers to stay or how to get your bottom performers to go. You don't outsource the strategic planning component that has to do with your employees' human capital. You want to outsource the payroll. Is there anyone in here who does payroll internally? Oh God, I didn't bring that much candy. Why? Why? So we don't have enough time to answer that question. The biggest reason you want to outsource payroll is because of all the other stuff that comes with it. The only people I have heard a justified reason for running payroll in-house are people sometimes in very intensive invoicing industries where they really have to track the time that way. But still, you want these systems. So, I only have 18 minutes, as you know. I do this as a full webinar, and anybody who wants to give me their business card, I'm happy to send you a link to it. It's free, so I'm not selling. I will absolutely give you a link to the webinar. But anyway, outsourcing payroll has got to be number one. And for those of you not doing that today, really think about the value it can add to get what you do all day out of the house. One of the most important pieces as an HR department of one is that you understand and own your own position as the one piece of your corporate puzzle who knows what is happening everywhere. So I use an example from 15 years ago in a manufacturing company where I was the HR department of one. And we had somebody in our customer service department that was driving everyone crazy. He was making copies and putting them on the bulletin board and giving them to the sales rep and bringing them to purchasing, making everyone nuts. But his orders were always perfect. I was working at the same time with our head of shipping, and they had constant turnover in the role of international shipping person. Why? Because the documents had to be so specific and so rigid, and you needed to check customs and double check and this and that. Well, do you think our head of sales was talking to our head of shipping? No. But I knew this was going on. So we moved the customer service guy into this role as head of international shipments, and it was amazing. All of that precision and detail orientation was happening. But that is only going to happen if you make these connections with the leaders throughout your organization. People say to me all the time that they don't want to talk to me. They always say they're too busy. My number one tip, invite them to lunch. You will be amazed. Everybody wants to get out of the office for 30 minutes and go to lunch and talk about what they do. Go as an HR professional to their department meetings and just listen. Don't go with an HR agenda. Don't ask for permission. Just show up. If you know that the operation team meets every morning at 8:30 to discuss the orders, walk in the room and take a seat. Keep your mouth closed, but just hear what they're talking about. And make sure you show up on a regular basis. Because if you want to be a successful HR department of one, you've got to have those alliances throughout your entire organization. Now, Ruth promised candy flying, so we have to talk about that. So these are some of my favorite tips. Is there anyone in the audience who's part of a mastermind group or a peer-to-peer advisory group? Okay, let's see. Well, I don't know if I can do this. Okay, so tell us, tell us a little bit about the group you're involved in, and I'll repeat it. And you're going to get one of my books. Okay. 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 So that is a little bit more like a leadership team. Now, how often do you all meet?
We meet once a month with an outside person, and then they keep us on track.
Okay, so they meet once a month with an outside person. He's on a team with the CEO, the CFO, heads of other departments, and they meet with an outside person to make sure they're staying on track. That's fabulous. One of the things that I like HR departments of one to do is get outside your company. Because we can't, one of the easiest ways to make your job as an HR department of one easier is to stop reinventing all the rules. So I work with HR mastermind groups that are like peer-to-peer advisory groups. Does anybody heard of something called Vistage? Some of your CEOs might be members. Anyway, get with a group of people. I recommend to people all the time your SHRM chapter is a perfect way. Have a group of people that meet an hour before each monthly meeting to just talk about what's going on. My mastermind group last month, a woman needed to write a drug policy. She asked the group. Within about 6 minutes, she had 4 drug policies. She blended them together the way she wanted them, and she was going on with her day. So peer-to-peer advisory groups are really becoming common. You might be able to find them through your local chamber, but I really think SHRM chapters are just the best place to start because it's built in. Make sure that you're asking your trusted advisors and vendors, your payroll company, your benefits advisor, your lawyer, your accountant, how they can provide some of these things. And then one of the best places that I am passionate about HR departments of one getting skills that they need to take that leadership role are nonprofit boards. Is anybody here on a board of a nonprofit where they have a leadership role? Tell us what you do. Okay.
And my role is to be HR.
Perfect.
So I chair search committee for the
So she is on the board of a nonprofit in Tampa Bay. Let's see if I can do this. Watch out, ladies around her. All right. Nonprofit board in Tampa Bay. And she uses her HR skills to help the association. But as such, she is aligned with the CEO in helping him do recruiting. So she can practice going in and having these very high-level strategic conversations so that possibly some of you that are a little bit intimidated by maybe doing that in your own organization, walking into the CEO's office, you've done that before. Been there, done that, and I think nonprofit boards, I like to use them, for instance, if you don't have a lot of finance skills, and HR people have got to start to know the balance sheet, the income statement, what is ROI, all those different things. If you don't know those things, find something you're passionate about and volunteer to be their treasurer. Wait and see how fast you find out about all these reports, but all the nonprofits that you will choose to align with as a volunteer will have professional people out there as a safety net. So it's a terrific way for you to practice and learn some of these skills in a safe environment. Safe environment. I just clicked it twice. We'll see what happens. No, we're okay. So I mentioned a little bit earlier about people saying there just isn't enough time in the day. I use a quote all the time by H. Jackson Brown Jr. that says, don't say you don't have enough time in the day. You have exactly the same hours in the day as Michelangelo, Thomas Jefferson, Helen Keller, and Mother Teresa. We all have the same number of hours in the day. The issue as HR, and especially HR departments of one, is we allow others to dictate how we spend our day. And you've got to stop doing that. So one of the things we've heard a lot of this conference is say yes. And I thought to myself, should I change this slide before my thing? Because everybody's talking about say yes. I think sometimes we as HR people, especially HR departments of one, say yes too often. You should, how many of you manage the receptionist? Okay, how many of you manage your janitorial staff? Oh yeah, we got a few of those too. How many, why? Because hopefully you have become such a trusted advisor to your CEO or president that when things are going askew, call Susie, she'll get it done right. But if Susie keeps doing everything for everybody else, she's never going to get her job done. So, what I like to say, oh, I didn't change this slide. How do I go back? Okay. I now have a little spinny thing on that says, say but. So don't just be the roadblock that says no all the time. Say no but. And be the problem solver for them to get their needs met without it falling on your plate. And that is really the key. Understanding what you can handle and what you can't. And then helping people in the organization, that is leadership. Leadership is getting things done, not necessarily doing it all yourself. The next piece I heard a lot is, how do I even know what I don't know? Doing HR audits is a huge internal tool. I've got, if anybody either gives me a card or if you go on my website, you can download it for free. I've got an HR assessment that you can do yourself. Some of you, what I recommend, again, going back to SHRM chapters, do it for each other. It's very hard to audit, for example, your own I-9s because you filled them out. You think you filled them out right. So, I mean, right? Nobody did it wrong on purpose. So find yourself a partner in town. Find yourself a partner out of town where you can do some of these audit things for each other. Find someone you trust, sign a confidentiality agreement. We're not running around telling each other secrets anyway, but if it makes you feel better. But really do that. Take some time to assess your own HR function and make sure that you know where you've got deficiency. These are some of the things I like to encourage you to align with IT about. Report writing. What reports are you doing that you don't need to write? Bring your own device, privacy and social media. These are all things that are critical today. Now this is one of my favorite things. I created this for the 2014 SHRM and everybody kind of likes it, so I always share it. This is a key to the HR department of one. Give a man a healthcare ID card, he has it for the day. Teach him to print his own ID card, he has it forever. It is not, go right ahead. Here, ladies, you can have some here. I don't know if I can reach the table, but I'll try. We started. All right, so really, really think about the balance between, and I'm a few minutes over, am I okay? The balance between customer service, which we want to have customer service, and controlling your own day. It's one thing to help those people who truly cannot navigate a system. It's another thing to be everyone in your company's secretary. Okay? So really think about this. If anybody wants a copy of this, a lot of people have asked me for it to put on their own cubicle. And I think it can be terrific. So at the end of the day, as an HR department of one, really assess for yourself, do you know your business? Are you aligning, are these all separate? Are you aligning your business with the human resources and functions that you are doing? Do you add value? Because at the end of the day, we have to add value. And finally, you are in a position where your CEO expects you to reduce risk. And that really is all of our responsibility in HR. So with that, I thank you. The slides are in the app. If anybody wants access to either the webinar or any individual slides, either here's my info, send me an email, or just give me a business card. I'll be around for a while. Thank you.